And we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to on Dotnet Live, where every week, every Thursday, we talk about all of the cool things that have been happening in the .NET community. Now, last week was a really busy week. A lot of cool things came out. A lot of things happened. So we're going to take a little bit of time today to catch everyone up on what some of those really interesting features are. And I have my friend Maria Naggaga here, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about what some of those features are. So, Maria,
Hi,
why don't you
Cecil.
say hi to everyone and just tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what do you do?
Yeah. Hi, Cecil. My name is Maria Naggaga. I am a principal program manager on the .NET team where I work on ASP.NET. I focus on building things like MVC, minimal APIs. And I also am one of the co-creators for .NET Interactive, which is a multi-language engine.
Nice. And so one of the reasons why I always love to have Maria on, if for those of you that have been watching this show for a while, Maria was actually the first guest that I had on the live version of this show back in August of 2020. So we've only been live streaming here for a year. We've been doing our pre-records for a long time. So Maria, it was Maria and Diego Colombo, my friend. I don't know if Diego's watching, but quick shout out to Diego. Diego's an amazing human being, very smart dude. Maria was one of the first. Maria and Diego were two of the first people that were on the show. So every time they come on, I'm super excited because it's always great content. It's always a great conversation. So definitely looking forward to it.
We're missing Diego though, so I'm sorry you got like the lesser half of the pair.
We got half, but you know what? We're gonna figure it out, man. We gotta get Diego to do some more videos soon. So we'll figure it out. We'll talk about it. But before we go forward, this is the part where I always like to do a really quick community shout out. Every time we do the show, we have folks from all over the world that come on, from all across the globe, different parts of, everywhere. So really quick, if you want to, go ahead and drop in the chat. Let us know where you are. Let us know where you're checking in from really quickly. I'm just going to scroll through the chat super fast and then kind of just see what everyone's from. Quick shout out to Gomo. Here's our friend Gomo.
Oh, Gomo all over South Africa. And then our friend Ilan.
Ilan is here too. Hold on. Let me pull her up. There she is. Everyone say hi to Ilan. Ilan did a very cool session at .NET Conf. We're going to talk about .NET Conf in a second. But if you're interested, make sure you go ahead and check that out. She did a lot of, really good session. So if you want to go see what she did, definitely go ahead and check out some of those .NET Conf videos. But yeah, just kind of scrolling to the list. I see we have Barbados. So shout out to Ronald from Barbados. I feel like Ronald's here every week. Ronald and Jose are two of our folks that are here almost every week. So definitely appreciate the support. South Africa, I see Brazil. Here we go. Like Colombia, South America, a couple of folks from Brazil, a couple of folks from South Africa. I see the UK. Boring Germany. I don't think Germany is boring, but we got Germany, we got Ecuador. We got some folks from Ivory Coast, Ireland.
Nigeria, this is a pretty international scene here.
Yeah, Nigeria and Algeria and Ireland. Again, some folks from the UK, folks from all over the place. I see Argentina, Turkey. Wow, we got a lot of folks from a lot of different places. So again, thank you all for being here. I mean, we do this show for you, so we always appreciate that you're here. Hopefully you get value out of some of the stuff that we talk about and things that we share. And again, if you have any thoughts or feelings or anything you'd like to see us do in the future, let us know, and then we can talk about it. Oh, but it keeps coming too. More Germany, Serbia, Philippines. It says, you skipped the name of my country. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. This country is Macedonia. Is that what that is? Is that how you say it? Macedonia?
I will.
I'm going to pull it up.
Did we get it right?
Macedonia? Is that how you say the country? I hope that's how you say that country. But I don't know where that is, but wherever that is, shout out to you. Thank you for being here. Definitely appreciate you very much. All right, so why don't we start getting into things? Now, first thing I like to do, again at this part of the show, we always like to share a few links about some of the cool things that have happened. So I'm gonna bring up my screen really quickly, and let's kind of get into it. So first link I want to share with folks. So, you're watching on .NET now as the live stream, but for those of you that are new, you may or may not know that we also do pre-recorded shows, and those are available on Channel 9 and YouTube. So one of our latest shows, we just did one on large object heat churn, and that's with our friends Christos and Mike. So if you're really interested in doing performance diagnostics, optimizing memory usage and kind of, looking through any of those, memory leaks and things of that nature. We have a really cool series with Mike, and this is just the latest in that series of episodes. We talks about like, detecting and solving some of those like, large object allocations and things of that nature. And as you can imagine, I was going to talk about this. .NET 6 was released last week. So .NET 6 happened last week, .NET Conf, and also Visual Studio 2022. So all those things happened last week. So if you're interested in checking out some of the really cool features that were included in that release, I definitely recommend you head over to the .NET blog and read Rich Lander's synopsis and some of what those major features are. Things related to .NET Monitor and OpenTelemetry, WebAssembly with Blazor, HTTP3, JSON, new things for mathematics. There's tons of stuff in .NET 6. Too much for us to cover all of them in the show. We'll talk about a few of them. But again, if you want to get a really good summary of that, make sure you go ahead and check out Rich's blog post. Now, last but not least, again, we mentioned .NET Conf happened last week. Now, if you missed .NET Conf for whatever reason, you didn't have a chance to, well, there is, all of the videos are recorded. They've been recorded. They're available on Channel 9 and YouTube. Again, so this is going to be the .NET YouTube channel. And you could, rewind, pause, whatever you want to do. You kind of skim through these and go through some of those sessions that you may have missed and maybe you want to go ahead and check out. So again, here's one on minimal APIs. We're going to talk about this, but this one is with Safia and Stefan. And we also have Dan Roth with a bunch of episodes. We have a bunch of community episodes closer to the end. So if any of you did any of those community episodes, these kind of come in order. You know what I mean? So the community episodes, I believe, were the third day of .NET Conf. The second, like part of the second and mostly the third day. So if you want to check out those community episodes, those are closer to the end. And you can kind of see what some of these folks are talking about. Okay. Now, that being said, this is the part where I say this is no longer the Cecil show, and this is not the Maria show. So Maria, why don't we talk really quickly about .NET 6 and what does .NET 6 really mean for a lot of folks, right? Like I know, we've seen Hunter talk a lot about like the unification of .NET, like kind of bringing everything together. We've talked about .NET 6 being long-term support and some of these types of things. So, but I always say like .NET means different things to different people. I'd love for you to tell me what .NET 6 kind of means for you, or like what are some of the highlights that you kind of see in that space?
Yeah, for me, sorry, I have a guest today. That is my niece. She's visiting. So you're going to see her like scroll and scrabble on the ground. That's right. But for me, .NET 6 means opportunity, right? And it's an opportunity. Like I think like from the .NET Core, we had the opportunity to go cross-platform and like be open source, which allowed us to actually come to .NET 6, where we're able to think about different workloads and different customers that we wanted to reach. So for me, when I think about .NET 6, I think about like ARM64, I think about .NET MAUI and the improvements we're making in mobile. I also think about the simplification and the minimalism approach and design patterns that we have embraced in .NET 6, especially with new features in C#10, where you think about top-level statements, implicit and global usings, improvements in lambdas. There's so many things, but like scoped namespaces. For me, those are just like our path towards creating an experience that works for everyone. So removing of ceremony and allowing people to like just get right to the code and focus on the business logic of their applications. I think we're going to find this place where .C# code, as readable as it is now, it's super easy to read, but I think we're going to continue going down the road where like you could hand your code to a brand new developer from a different stack and they'd be able to embrace it.
That's amazing. I know for me, some of the things that I really appreciate about .NET 6, specifically about C#10, like you mentioned, are some of those features that have been added to remove that ceremony. So again, let me kind of go through some of my favorite features. I really appreciated, like you said, file scope namespaces. I thought that was huge. I thought that was amazing. I really like global usings. I think that's definitely going to be a game changer for sure. Hot reload too. I know that's had a little bit of controversy over the past couple of weeks, but Hot Reload is I think is going to be a game changer too, like just in
It
the core
is.
platform and just from a tooling and productivity perspective, I think it's going to be amazing. And also, we never talk about this, but F Sharp had a lot of new features too. We think about F Sharp 6 being released, and I think
Yes.
F Sharp is a lot faster. I know there were some updates to async specifically with F Sharp too. So if you're an F Sharp developer, there's better tooling, there's better async support. Again, there's tons of things for you to check out if you're in that space as well. So definitely make sure you folks go ahead and check some of that stuff out. Now, Maria, now I know you know, .NET is a big thing, and I know you
Yes.
work on very specific parts of .NET, right? Like I know you, like you mentioned a little bit earlier, you worked on .NET Interactive, you worked on minimal APIs and some of these types of things. Could you talk to me specifically about within those spaces, like what can we look forward to in this release of .NET when it comes to like those things?
Oh yeah. So let's talk about like .NET Interactive for a moment. Like what you will be seeing in .NET Interactive, not necessarily like just right now, you'll see we've updated to .NET 6, so you'll be able to take advantage of like the new record types that you have in C# 10. You can now use it within your notebooks, which we think will kind of like begin to open up scenarios for not only learning, but maybe different things for data science as we think about that as a tooling perspective. We're also bringing in Python support into the .NET Interactive experience. I know you have asked for this for many years.
I missed that one. I didn't realize that was happening.
That is coming. Yeah, it is coming. So that is something that people can look forward to in terms of like us being more open, more polyglot, more future facing as we think about this multi-language experience. The next thing is like minimal APIs. I am just so excited for minimal APIs, especially when we think about being able to build a simple endpoint in a single line. And we've embraced the improvements to Lambdas. We also think about the DNI, right? That a lot of people think the DNI doesn't work in minimal APIs. It does. Like you can take advantage of things like Swagger and Auth and all these different things to actually build your APIs and being able to actually easily deploy them to Azure, right? So like I'm taking advantage of things like API management. Like I am really excited about our integration tooling and how we've kind of built for cloud native. As we think about minimal APIs, we've thought about not only from, I am a brand new developer learning how to code my first web app. You're also a microservice and working on microservices, and you just want to buy, like, let's say you want to build a feedback loop for your application. Like, why do you have to build a completely like MVC structured application? So I'm really excited to see how people use minimal APIs going forward. And I do see like someone has brought up like minimal APIs is no place for the enterprise. I would love to hear your feedback on that. You can open up an issue and tell us what your scenario is. Personally, we have seen people, some of enterprise users and customers talking about how they will be using this for their lighter weight APIs. So I think we're not going to see people replace. MVC is not going anywhere, but we're going to see people like figuring out where they can build things quickly. And we've also built minimal APIs in a way that you can grow, it grows with you. As you scale in complexity, as your app becomes more complex, you just simply move it into the structure of MVC. So MVC is not going anywhere. MVC is a firm, strong pattern that will always exist. But if you're building your next lightweight microservices, and if you are in the microservices space, consider using minimal APIs.
Yeah, I think the perspective that I look at that comment and just those types of comments in general is like, so prior to working at Microsoft, I did work at other companies building different types of applications. And I'll tell you, every app that an enterprise build is not like a huge application. You know what I mean? There's a lot of utility apps. There's a lot of supporting apps that support like some of that bigger infrastructure. And so when we think about enterprise, again, just as diverse as our community is, like we have a diversity of application types and the way that people want to build them. And, you know, I think if we can be in a space where we can hit that sweet spot in the middle, where we, you know, it's not too much ceremony, but it's not too little. Like you have that flexibility of going right or left, depending on what your use case is. I think that's what the important part is, right? Like being able to have that perspective and being like, okay, well, maybe it's not for you, and that's cool. It's fine. Like everything's not for everybody. But at the same time, too, it does add value to some other folks as well.
Oh, yeah. And I'm pretty sure if you look at other ecosystems like Fast API, for example, they have grown incredibly successful because of their minimalist approach. Like for the first time, they made it onto Stack Overflow. But doesn't mean everyone who's using Python is necessarily using Fast API. They could be using Django or Flask. It really just depends for their use case. But maybe they can also mix and match these different worlds together.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I definitely love to see, like, someone down here in the chat just mentions AWS Lambdas. I've never built a Lambda function, so I don't know what that looks like. But again, if that can help you in whatever you're doing, whatever your workflow is, because again, we think about enterprise, right? It's not just about like the code, but it's about like the infrastructure, right? There might be serverless things and container things and Windows services things, systemd things. You never know, right? Like, there's a lot of different types of things there. So again, with .NET, we kind of just want to give people the option to choose whatever works for them, and we kind of just take it from that perspective.
I love that you ended on that, because like you said that, because it is about options, right? Like, so I think Nick, who is on the chat, and I'm actually pretty excited to see Nick here, because Nick, I watch your videos. I am a fan. We are a fan of you on the .NET team.
Shout out to Nick.
Nick like did a really, really good, got to really good videos. And there's another person called Ben Foster as well. I've read his work. He has this really great blog post on minimal APIs is not minimal. Does not mean simple. It means, let me grab the quote because it's so perfectly put. And I was sharing this with my leadership, where it's like, minimal simply means that it contains the minimum set of components needed to build an HTTP API. And like Nick always talks about, like, you can build APIs the way you want to, and you're not really just boxed into a particular style. Like, if you want to use MVC, great. If you want to use minimal APIs, great. If you want to use minimal APIs with controllers, you can do that, right? So like, you have the flexibility. The world is yours, right?
Exactly.
So do what you want.
Exactly. How about we dive into some demos? I feel like we've been talking a little bit. Like, I think we should show folks some code, and we can.
So I am not the demo.
The demo queen. That's what you are.
The demo queen. I'm pretty bad. Like, I keep on telling you, you are getting like, I'm just like, Diego jumps in and does the demo, and I'm just like, I'm here. But let me just share my screen. So let me just minimize all confidential stuff. Give me a second, because it's like the workday. So I have minimized that. I have closed Teams.
Yeah, and then while you're doing that, for folks that are in the chat right now, why don't you go ahead and let us know, like, what features of .NET 6, C# 10, F# 6, like, which features of those are you most excited about? What do you think you're going to start using inside of your applications and code? I know we also have a preview of MAUI, I believe, right? Like, there's a new preview of MAUI that came out last week. So if folks are using MAUI and trying out some of those types of things in addition to Visual Studio 2022, let us know. Love to hear what you're doing. Love to see what you're building, and get a little bit of feedback from you.
Okay. So my screen is going to pop up in a moment, and let me know when you can see it.
There you go.
Is the resolution okay, or would you like me to change?
What would be the resolution's fine. Let's just go ahead until like you open a code file, and then we could tweak it from there.
Then you're like, oh no, this is terrible. Okay, so when building minimal APIs today, there are a couple of ways that you can do it. First, the quickest way and most basic way, perfect for new beginners, is to use the empty web application. So I'm just going to call this a really great name, Web Application 30. Click Next. You can also enable Docker. We have all the cool features that you love. I'm going to create it. I'm like, I don't know if you can see me right now, but I'm crossing my fingers. Please do not crash. I'm working on like the original Surface Book. So I'm in much need of a software update. But as that's creating our project, one of the things, I probably will not show hot reload in Blazor. I have never done that demo.
Yeah. I feel like that's the situation where we need to phone a friend. Like, it was
phone a friend. Okay, so Dan, can we get Dan on the call?
We could phone a friend and have some folks come in and do it.
Yeah, so once that loads, and if this completely fails to load, I do have a backup plan of like recorded demos. It won't be as wonderful.
It's all good. I'm looking in the chat real quick now. So folks seem to be talking about what are some of their favorite features. Douglas here is talking about hot reload and Blazor WebAssembly. So he's really interested about that. Oh, look, we have Phil. So Phil is saying, I'm planning on experimenting with Blazor with SignalR to make a real-time web game. So that sounds pretty cool too. Like, so you have a lot of folks building a lot of interesting things. I'm going to bring up Brave Cobra. Brave Cobra says, can we talk about the features we're not excited about? You know what? I actually really want to have this conversation.
Okay.
But let's do the demo. Let's do the demo first, and then we can talk about it. So I just want you to know I see you, and I want to have that conversation with you. But let's do Maria's demos first, and then we can talk about it.
So, like, this is working, finger crossed. So as you can see, within 4 lines of code, you actually have a functioning web application. Like, you're actually calling an endpoint. And I think this is pretty cool, right? And because of things like I mentioned, like top-level statements, implicit things, we're allowed to have this almost express-like, fast-like experience when building APIs. But I also wanted to show people that it's actually quite easy to bring these 2 worlds together. So I've shown you like the way that kind of makes people cringe. It actually makes me smile when I actually see that you can build an API in only 4 lines of code. But I'm going to add a new project here. Let's add a new project. And clearly, I have not done this in a while. Add new item. Nope, clicked wrong thing.
What are you looking for? Tell me again.
I'm trying to add a new project.
Oh, you have to click on the solution. Yeah, go into the solution.
Oh,
You're clicking on the project. Click on the solution.
Yeah,
right click the right click the solution, and then there you go. And then add
that's what I'm looking.
Project. Yeah,
project, and then I'm going to select Web API. Click next. And what you'll see here, right, is that you have 2 options. You have the option to either use with controllers, right, and that's actually checked by default, or use without controllers. So I'm going to leave with controllers in, and I'm also going to enable Open API. You're going to create this. And what you'll see here is that we've tried to blend the best of both worlds, right? So you still have a program.cs, right? We've got rid of startup. And then if you look at let's go into our controllers, right? You can still use the minimal API pattern with controllers. So you're not really forced into anything, right? So I wanted to actually emphasize that with people, so you can actually blend these 2 worlds together. So let's switch into an existing app, a real-world application that does this. So anyone watched the minimal API, the .NET Conf keynote, you notice that we were building this real-world application where we're building this podcast app. And a huge shout out to James and his team for helping us put this demo together. And what I wanted to show you was what you're seeing here is that you're seeing all the things that you have come to love about .NET. You see DNI, you can see we're configuring our services. We have Swagger as well, right? So we're adding our Swagger. We're configuring our services. Like, so we're adding our connection string over here. So I'm going to run this application. And what we will see is we will see in a bit. Okay, that is fine. I know exactly why this is doing this. Let's close that. And let's run
you had like
it
another
again.
instance up and running. Got it.
Like, that is a feature that I would really love to have.
I would too.
I
would love that.
Like when I shut down like localhost, I wish it would just shut down the terminal as well.
Yeah. I wish there was a way. So let's say you run a project. I wish there was a way for the runtime or the tooling to detect, hey, you have multiple instances of this running already on the same port. Do you want me to shut it down, or do you want to keep it and, like, you know, have me attached to that instead? You know what I mean? Like, give you the option. I don't know how that would happen, but I would love for that to happen, because the amount of times that you've done a demo, like when you, as in like everyone that's watching, has done a demo, and you're like, oh, why is this not working? Oh shoot, I was practicing earlier, and I have like 2 instances of this thing running, and I didn't remember, and I forgot to shut the process down.
And I think if you look at my .NET Conf keynote, I think I made that mistake.
Yeah.
I think that happened to me. But yeah, that would be wonderful. So like you have Swagger, right? So you have your documentation generation. Yeah. So that's cool, right? So these are things that people have come to expect. I'm going to shut this down just in case I want to run this application again. So another thing that I wanted to show you was, you'll notice that we have some namespaces over here that look like they're out of space, right? They're grayed out, right? And the reason why they're grayed out is that we have this new concept in C#10 called implicit usings, which means that when you create your application, you create your template, we just know what usings to add in. So why do I need them? And you can easily turn, because some people like seeing all their usings at the top of their screen. So you can turn it off and just disable it, or you can also enable it. So it's actually pretty easy by going into your CS project file, you disable, you don't have it, and then you enable, and you have it. So what I'm going to do, right, let's clean this up, right? Enables, nope, enable. What I'm going to do is like, let's get rid of some of these unnecessary usings. So I don't need that. So I'm going to like fix that. Bye.
And so now I'm guessing what's going to happen is the tooling is going to go and just remove the usings from there.
Yep.
Right. So here's a question I've always had about that particular feature. So when you enable implicit usings, is it a case that there is a set of usings that is well known, and I'm guessing there's a list somewhere that maybe it's in docs, and I could go and look at the list of these things, but I'm guessing there's a list of well-known usings. You don't have to use these ones. I still have to use some other usings, but in particular, these set, I don't have to have them in every file, right? That's essentially what that's doing.
That's it, right? And yes, so if you actually go into our repo, there is some file there that shows all the default usings per template. And there are painstakingly conversations and issues where we're discussing, should we leave this using in? Which using should we leave in and out? So there's like actually a robust conversation across the ASP.NET team and the C# language design team, as well as the runtime team, to determine what usings went in there.
So here's a question for you then. Does explicit usings change implicit usings, does that change based on the project type? So does that mean for a console app, my defaults are different versus an ASP.NET Core app versus a Xamarin app? Like they change based on the project type?
That's a good question. We could check it out and try adding ASP.NET. I don't think it is.
Yeah. I mean, if it doesn't, it'll be cool to be able to add. There's another feature request. If anyone's watching, go ahead and add an issue and see if we can do that.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I have my trusted notebook. I am writing things down, I promise. Like, it's chicken scratch, but I'm writing stuff down.
Let's see, what else we got? Yeah, I'm on the GitHub repo, the .NET GitHub repo, looking for it right now to see if... Would it be in the .NET repo or would it be in the C# lang?
It should be in the runtime repo, I believe.
Okay, got it. .NET runtime. Oh, let's take a look. Yeah, I'm going to take a look and see if it's in there.
Let's see if there's a way I can look at it here. Okay, yes. So according to James, they are different per project type.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
They are different per project type, and there is a tutorial from us. Yep, they are different per project type. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, at some point, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I definitely want to find like the lists and share it with folks so that they could know, hey, well, when you turn this on based on the project type, like here are the things that you're going to get in those different projects. I think that would be very useful for folks to know.
For people to know which implicit usings come with every single project type?
Yeah, like when you enable that feature, like what are the exact usings that I'm expected to get?
Okay.
Like I think that would be good to know. Anyway, let's go back. So we have your project. It's a podcast project. You showed us the Swagger gen, right? Inside of the minimal APIs. right? And so then you just enable the implicit usings, and then you kind of clean it up a little bit, right?
Yeah, but I want to just clean it up a little bit further because I like the idea of putting my usings in one place. So you're going to just notice like the compiler is mad because it's like, where are my usings? I'm going to move it over to my global.using.cs file. Now, this can be called anything. I just called it global for this reason. So I will type it in. I just need to put the global prefix. Let's copy and paste it a number of times. I know there's a feature where I can do this multiple times in a file. I think I've done maths to it.
Okay, global.
Yep, just keep on adding global, and we should be good. And this was like this. These usings are now available everywhere in my project.
Nice.
And now it should stop barking at me.
Hopefully, maybe you might need to do a rebuild because it looks like that Microsoft Open API one. It can't find it, so I don't know if.
Yeah, let's do a rebuild.
Yeah, let's do a rebuild and see if it's in there. Make sure it's working. But while you're doing that, so folks might be wondering where this code is available. I'm guessing it's on GitHub, or is it on the .NET?
I don't know if it's repo? I don't know if it's in a public repo yet. James, did we make this sorry, I'm quoting out to James. I think if it is public, James can post a link in the chat.
Yeah, if it is, it'll be good to know so that we could have folks go ahead and take a look at it and reference some of that code for sure.
Code coming soon. Subscribe to the .NET blog.
Got it. All right, cool. Well, there you go.
Okay, so I've got a bunch of errors. I told you this always happens to me. I've heard that the other person who where demos always failed was Phil Hack. So I'm in great company, but I can promise it was great when I was reading my machine.
That's funny. But you know, this is how we know that it's live, right? Like if there weren't errors, then we wouldn't know that it's live. This would be like a pre-recorded situation, and we just fix it in post.
Oh yeah, so you will always know that it is live with me, and if you see it smooth, you'll know I've recorded it.
That's so
you will always know that I have broken something.
Got it. But if folks do want to check out the code, like you said, it will be available at some point later on, and then you can take a look at it. One of the things that I really liked about that demo, if folks kind of go back and they look at the keynotes, I believe, from .NET Conf. Maria, I believe you were in the keynote, as well as obviously some of our other friends. That app that you were showing, there was a web API, but there's tons of other stuff in there. There was a MAUI part to it. There was a Blazor part to it. There was some Signal R bits in there where there was podcast playing happening in sync between two different hosts, like two different browsers, which is really cool. So I think there was a lot of amazing stuff. So if folks again are interested in that, make sure you head over to Channel 9, look for the .NET Conf 2021 set of videos, and then we could always go and check that out, which is really cool. Now, questions that are coming in. When is the .NET MAUI release? I believe it was announced that MAUI will come out sometime in Q2 or 3 of next year.
I think it was Q3 of next year.
Right, something of that sort. So there you go. So there's no specific dates, but it'll be within Q2 or 3 of next year. So folks in the chat that were wondering about MAUI, there you go.
But people should know that the preview is available today, so you don't be an early adopter. Well, the app just run. Okay, so
you're gonna share your screen again? Let me put it back up.
Probably not. Let me try.
Okay. You know what I always find too, that your computer always runs slower the minute you start to share your screen.
Well, my computer runs the slowest of everybody in my division, so such is my life.
It sounds like we need to get somebody to build your machine. I see people on Twitter building machines and stuff, and I'm just saying, we got to share the love around.
I ordered the bits to build the machine, so it's coming. Yeah.
Oh, so are you gonna live post tweet your machine build?
Absolutely
Is that what
not.
you're gonna do?
Absolutely not. Like, as you can see, like, look at the
Nice.
quality of the way my pictures are hanged. Like, there's no way I'm going to show
That's
putting
funny.
a thing together. But yeah, so like questions. Yeah, Maria needs a new PC. I do.
Yeah. So we did have another question from Emmy. This one's coming in from YouTube. So James is in the chat. So James, since you're in the chat, I'm just gonna give you these questions because I don't know the answers to these.
Neither do I.
Emmy's asking, is WinUI a part of .NET MAUI? I'm not totally sure, to be super honest with you. So James, if you're in the chat, you could give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down or something of the sort, and then we could talk about it. So this is what I want to do. Earlier in the conversation, Brave Kroba had asked us a question. And I told him that I was going to come back to his question, and I meant it. So let me scroll up and see if I could find it. But I believe the question was something around.
So I have an answer because I just did a quick search. So
you did? Okay.
WinUI, according to the MAUI repo, is not a part of MAUI because WinUI focuses on Windows only. So those means like the APIs underneath are Windows-based, and then the MAUI is for any platform.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So there we go. So there we have an answer to that question. Now let's do this because I like controversy a little bit. So let's talk about it. Brave Kroba is saying, can we talk about the features that we're not excited about? And I know we always like to do the happy path conversation. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes we need to talk about the people that aren't so happy, right?
Yeah.
And when I say that, here's what I mean. I know sometimes we have these conversations as, does .NET have too many features? Does C# have too many features? Do we need to stop adding features and do something different? You know what I mean? And so I have my personal opinions on it. I'm not gonna. I'll hold them for a second, but I definitely would love to hear from the folks in the chat. Like, what is your general sentiment about us continuously adding features? Like, so far I've seen, and at least again, this is just from what I've seen in the chat. Seems like everyone's very happy about it. Seems like folks are super excited. But let us know, because I think like Maria's a PM on the team. We have James as well. James is also a PM on the team. He's inside of the chat. Feedback is important to us, right? Whether it's good or bad feedback, we got to take all the feedback.
We got to take it
and look at it. And again, we gotta put it together and make stuff that makes sense. So tell us what it is that you're interested in. I saw some conversations about the templates. Like, let us know what you feel about the templates. I actually saw someone, Maria, maybe this is something you might be interested in. I can't find it, so I won't pull it up. But the comment was essentially about having the option to toggle top level statements in the templates. So I saw someone had mentioned that. So I guess, some people don't want the top level statements in the templates. So I don't know if there could be like a button that'd be like no, like a no button. You know what I mean?
So, okay, that's like, we have had a handful, like, and I want to start by like, yes, I respect everything that people's opinions. We've had a handful of people talk about the option to switch between the templates. What we want to see is that as, .NET 6 has come out, we want to see more people's reactions to figure out what the toggle would look like. Because if they switch to .NET 5, they will get the older template. So that means they have to change the TFM. But if we have to make changes with the way the acquisition process, we just want to see a little bit more, we'll have to do a little bit more customer research and development on what that experience looks like.
Yeah.
Right? Because is it creating new templates? That creates way too many template options, right? Because like you could have template classic, right? But that means like we have double of everything, right? So like we have to think about the way the acquisition experience.
Yeah, for sure. Here's something that I've always loved to see, or would love to have seen us do. And when I say us, I'm not meaning us as Microsoft, but us as a .NET community that, chooses to use this language to like, feed ourselves, right? I see no reason why we can't just create some of our own templates. And I'm very sure folks on the team, on the .NET team itself, would be more than willing to promote them not support them, but promote them. You know what I mean? I know on this show particularly, we've had Syed come on, and Syed has talked about like building templates. We have multiple episodes on how to build templates. It is not a extremely difficult thing to do to build templates. I'm trying not to use the word easy because I know easy, triggers people sometimes. But it's not a tremendously hard thing to do to build some of these templates. So if that's the case, I think if folks are interested in building templates and be like, hey, this is what I would love it to look like, what I mean? And if you're familiar, I don't know if folks know, if you go into NuGet, you can go into NuGet and you could filter by templates, right? And then now it'll show you those templates whenever you do a search. But I definitely love to see us do some more of those. I'm thinking about building some templates myself because, again, the way I want to write code and the way you want to write code might be different.
Yeah, so I think like the fact, like I do like the idea of having more module-based templates where people get the templates they need when they need it. And I'd like us to foster the community to do that, right? And I think the work that Syed has done, and this work has existed, I think, for about a year now, where Syed has created this experience in VS that when you install a template using a global tool or through a package, it does show up in the file new experience. Right. Yeah. So I do like that idea of like having that growing community. We've also seen this in SPA. Let's give an example of the JavaScript SPA templates. Yeah. Let's just be a little bit honest. It's harder for the .NET team to maintain those because that's not our area of expertise. Right. Yeah. So we're not always up to date. But if we had more community-driven templates that allowed people to use the latest, that means that you can bring Svelte and Vue. And as Dan says, framework banana, right? Because there's always like a cool JavaScript SPA framework that's coming out. I like the flexibility of creating that ecosystem, right? Because this also is how other frameworks also work, right? Like No Express and Fast and Flask, they all have these different packages that are provided through other people.
Yeah. One of the things I'd be interested in, I don't know if this is possible or not, but if we could introduce the concept of like template inheritance, right? Okay. So from the perspective of I have a template, or the .NET team has a template, whatever the case is, and I want to tweak it. I don't want to build it from scratch, but I just want to tweak it. You know what I mean? Or anyone else for that matter. Anyone has a template I want to tweak. You know what I mean? And add my icons or branding, or maybe you use Bootstrap and I want to use Tailwind, you know what I mean? But like the code is the same. It'll be interesting if we could do that. So at least then now I think there'd be a higher level of reuse from the base, right? And then now we could kind of see how that works. But again, I don't know if that's possible or not. We'd have to talk about it and see.
We'd have to talk about it. And like another thing, like I'm seeing the chat scroll up, and I think one of the things that people think is that when we are doing our templates, we're kind of like baptizing things like this is the best way or the official way to do it. And I think what we've created for people now in .NET 6 is that this is a way. And how else are you going to find out about the latest features? Like, I'm hoping that it's also a way for us to advertise. Like, how are you finding out about the latest features about C# and ASP.NET? Like, it's a good way for us to highlight those features to the community, but it's also just a way for you to do it. So I want people to know that they have the freedom to use the templates the way they want to use it. And if they want the option to switch, if we begin to see that demand from you all, if we begin to see people like actively switching to the older one, we will definitely support that scenario so you feel comfortable and productive in the tools that you're using.
For sure. So I want to just brave Cobra as well, because he's had a lot of interesting comments. So he's saying like the community should not have to build a template for a basic console app. I mean, I don't think they have to now, but I also think so. Here's what I think the thing is. I think is everyone's concept of what basic is different. You know what I mean? Some people think basic should just be a main method that's empty with no console write line in it. Some people think that. Some people think it should just be an empty file that just returns 0 or whatever the case is, whatever the exit code is, right? Everyone has a different perspective, and because those perspectives are different, the amount of permutations of templates are essentially like infinite. You know what I mean? I know we're just talking about basic things, but like the amount of permutations of templates becomes infinite based on how we can please everyone. So I want to say I respect your opinion, and I get it, right? Because I've been on that side of the table where I'm just like, why can't we just have this thing, right? And again, let me just be very clear about it too. I am not on a team that makes templates, so I am not speaking on their behalf in any way, shape, or form. But I would say that, like Maria mentioned, it is a tremendous amount of engineering efforts to decide and maintain what a template looks like, right?
Yeah.
Particularly when it contains like third-party dependencies and things of that nature. Because let's be honest, like people don't just want a simple template, right? Like, you're gonna want to, file new, create my new fintech app,
Yeah.
right? Like file new, create my new blockchain, whatever blockchain people do thing, right? Like that's what people want. Like file new, create my new mobile flower store application. You know what I'm saying?
And maybe we'll reach a time in our tooling, right, where someone will look at like Brave Cobra's like style pattern and say, hey, these, when we present a specific file new experience for you, because these are the type of things that you build. But we're not there yet, right? But like, as we say, tooling is always evolving, right? So if we're able to look at your existing projects files and say, hey, this is the kind of templates you typically build, then that's it, right? So like that's the future. But I think we also have to allow for evolution, right? So we can test and be more innovative, but we will listen. Like that's the thing. I listen to all feedback.
Yeah, I like this comment that was made on. This is Twitch. This comment is from Twitch, and Zulius is saying, one problem I see with the new templates, particularly for the new .NET devs, the feature was supposed to be for is that, there still exists tons of older tutorials that work with full-size program.cs. So once they create a new project and follow the tutorial, they'd be more confused instead of less so. And yeah, and I get it. I think I've thought about it. I'm very sure the folks on the team and dev have thought about that as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I said, it's not a. I know from the outside, it could seem like it's an easy problem to kind of be like, just do this. I agree with you. I agree with you. There's that concern. Hopefully, we could create a community around those folks to kind of help them through it a little bit. Because again, one way or another, like we're all gonna have to kind of learn about this a little bit, right? We're gonna have to try and push through it and figure it out.
So there are things that we're working on, and in January, I'll be launching this experience where we will be talking about like the way we build documentation for people who are newer to the platform. And you're right, because of things like Google Juice, we're always going to see the older stuff pop up more. Like I was talking to a recent person learning how to build C#, building .NET applications today. All they could find was .NET Framework, right? Like all the tutorials that they found was .NET Framework. I never even built an app in .NET Framework. I came to .NET and .NET Core. So we'll have to just find ways, especially on the Microsoft side. We have been working on the docs team so that when you actually do .NET 6 and you select it as your dropdown, you do see the new like program.cs minimal experience. And then also if we can also recognize which ones to present to you. So like the first experience that you see will be .NET 6, and if you have to go to .NET 5, you have to do the active thing of going through a drop-down.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that'll be a great addition too. So for folks can kind of look at that as as some clear guidance that we could start using. All right, what else we got going on? We have some folks that's saying. So here's Marcus. He has an interesting comment from YouTube, and Marcus is saying he uses clean architecture as a base. Maybe it should be official. You know what? There's tons of folks that create. Again, we talk about templates, right? Like I know there's what's it called, the ABPIO. I think that's what it's called. I know there's also like .NET Box. Like there's a couple of folks that ABP.io. Let me see if that's what it's called. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, ABP.io. It's open source web framework for .NET. Hold on, let me move my screen around and then I'll share my screen so folks could see. Then I'm not sending them to like a Bitcoin mining site or something crazy like that. But
I hope not.
I mean I don't have any of that stuff. So
Bitcoin or NFTs, like nope.
I wouldn't be helping anyone. But this is the site. Here I'm going to bring up my screen real quick. So this is ABPIO. I mean I know this is a collection of templates and things of that nature that folks like to use. What else is there? I know there's .NET Boxed, BOXCD, .NET Boxed, I think is what it's called. There you go. This is on GitHub as well. I think there's a collection of templates inside of this. Yeah, templates for all kinds of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Again, I guess the concern is always like, should these be, I don't know, officially Microsoft supported or not? Like, again, I'm a big fan of having community support their own templates and have them do their things. I think it's just hard for us as an engineering team to kind of determine what do, particularly as the language evolves, right? Like, how do you know, what are the defaults, features, and things of that nature that we're kind of pushing to people?
Yeah, and also like if this comes into the books, I think it's going to kind of halt the innovation, because you're going to be stuck with our releases and our nightly builds and all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but there we go. But anyway, that being said, folks, this has been a really fantastic conversation. You know, I'll be honest with you, I usually don't, you know, debate with folks on
I've never done it.
So, but you know, I think this is a good exercise, and you know, I wanted to do it, you know, to show that we can have like this respectful dialogue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Regardless of whether we agree or disagree or whatever the case is, you know what I mean? I always want to make sure that folks on here, you know, feel like, again, this is not a recorded situation, right? So let's just definitely have a conversation.
I think it's fine. And the thing is that it's we're listening. That's the whole thing. Like if it was all like, you all are so great, like we wouldn't be building the product of the future. So we're listening.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, feedback goes both ways, right? It's good feedback and not happy feedback, right? And then we just got to figure out like what's going to be the balance between all of that, right? So that we can kind of come together and make a product that makes sense and something that you'd want to use and something that you'd be proud of to kind of put in the solutions that you're trying to build. So that being said, Maria has a meeting to go to. So yeah, Maria, how about let's do this. Maria, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to hang out for a little while because I know you got to do like the work thing. But I'm going to hang out for a little while. I'm going to answer some folks' questions. But could everyone say thank you to Maria? Again, Maria was guest number 1 for me. You know what I mean? And now this show's guest for me as well. So, you know, definitely appreciate her being here and coming on and talking to us about .NET 6 and some of the cool things that, you know, have come out. And again, we're going to continue this conversation about templates and some of these types of things as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Again, so thank you. I appreciate the healthy conversation. This has been wonderful for me. I'm sorry again for the really bad demo. I'm using internal bits of Visual Studio and it's falling apart on a very bad machine. But thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Maria. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Bye.
All right. Talk to you soon. Yeah. So there we go. So we're gonna take Maria off. There we go. And so like I said, so we do on the Net Live every week. Again, I always appreciate everyone coming in and kind of sharing their opinion. I'm just looking in the chat to see how folks are doing. One of the things I'd love to talk to folks about. Oh, hold on. This says there are 2 types of C# developers. One who renamed the class one CS file, and those are just deleted and create another from scratch. You know what I usually do? I usually create a file, create a class in another class, and do move to class with name kind of thing. I usually do that. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it, man. You know what? We usually don't hang out after the stream. I figured I'd try it today and try something a little bit different. Usually, like on the top of the hour, we just like shut it off and go, right? So I figured, hey, let me hang out for like extra 5 minutes and have a conversation. All right, let's see what else folks are talking about. Like, what else are folks interested in doing? Yeah, delete class 1. Yeah, I know a lot of folks just kind of go in and delete that stuff, to be honest with you. Yeah, delete class 1, definitely. Here's another thing I'd love to know. So for folks that, you know, again, for those of you that are a little bit on the newer side of .NET, like what are some of the things that y'all are interested in and looking to do? I could tell you, again, we're usually here every Thursday. We're probably going to slow down going down to the end of the year. You know, if you're in the United States, next week is Thanksgiving, and then we have Christmas and New Year's, and all these types of things are happening. And so then we're going to start slowing down just a tad bit with the show. So we're probably not going to see as many of these episodes. So I just want to take a moment, 1, to say thank you for being here. And definitely, you know, we definitely appreciate you all and definitely appreciate the conversation. But 2, also tell me, what are some of the things that you love to see happen with the show in the future? You know, what are some of the things that you love to see us add and do and talk about? You know, people that you love to see us kind of come on and those types of things as we, you know, as we kind of think about the future of what this thing kind of looks like. Let's see. What is Brave Cobra saying? How are those minimal APIs not just static controllers when extracted into extension methods? Yeah, I mean, I can see you looking at it from that perspective. You know what I mean? Also, too, you could look at it as, they're really just functions if you think about it at the end of the day, right? Like they're really just functions that are attached to that app builder thing, right? And so now you're kind of just composing middleware in a workflow to respond to different endpoints. But I don't know. That's the kind of way that I look at it. Also, too, shout out to Sean really quickly. So for folks that are still here, I don't know if you know this, but my friend Sean is here. So Sean is writing a book. Sean, what's the name of your book, man? You want to tell folks what that book is called? But Sean is writing a book. I believe it is from, is it Pact Publishing? I don't want to mess it up. I think it's Pact Publishing. But Sean and some of his friends are writing a book around microservices, around tons of other stuff around .NET 6. So I think that'd be really cool for folks to check out. I will find the link at some point. I'll find it and then we'll do it. But there we go. It's Pro Microservices by Apress. See, I know I was going to get the publisher wrong. By Apress, right? So Apress Publishing House, Pro Microservices in .NET 6 with examples using ASP.NET Core, Mass Transit, and Kubernetes. So that's really cool. So if folks are interested in checking out Sean's book, I think it's pre-order now or something like that. Maybe not, or maybe it's fully out. But if you're interested in building microservice things, Mass Transit I know is a really cool open source project. We should definitely get the creator of that project on the show. I definitely love to talk to him and, get his perspective on one of those things. Kubernetes. Someone said, you have me at Kubernetes. So there you go. If folks are interested in learning Kubernetes plus .NET 6, ASP.NET Core 6 specifically, like that's definitely something that we could do as well. We could add that to the list of things to do for sure. Okay. All right, folks. Well, I mean, I think that's really about it. I think I'm going to take off. Again, it has been a pleasure. It's been amazing. And it's been a great year. Hope you all have enjoyed the show and the series and all the other things that we do on the channel and on the show. So thank you all. I appreciate you. And we will see you next time on .NET Live. So bye, everyone. Take care. Have a good evening. Enjoy your family and your dinner and all that cool stuff. And we'll see you next time. Bye.